Alright guys, welcome to the Sweet Tarts of Fighting Instructional channel. Today we've got Ryan and myself. We're going to take you through the triangle choke from guard. Ryan's going to explain it as we go. Just remember, down in the description you can join the Sweet Tarts of Fighting Underground, ask Ryan any more questions on this and get all my strength and conditioning programs.
We're going to do this a basic triangle. Okay, there is a many setups we can do from here. Okay, today we're just going to work a simple method here of fighting the arm to the chest, or to the belly button, sorry. So always first things first, I need to get the hands out the hips. So the best way to do this, I found in live sparring, is to get his hands off my hips. So the way we do that is I'm going to bring my hips up. Okay, so a lot of people think they're going to fight the hands here, and all that works. But what I'm actually trying to do is bring my hips off the ground. He can hold me as tight as he wants here and keep his posture as good as he wants. But as soon as my hips come off the ground, I'm going to crunch my heels back. And this changes things a little bit, right? Because I'm kind of, as I come up, he can still press here, but I've created space between my back and the floor. So when I drop, if we were just to do this real slow and he stays where he's at, if I drop, you can see that there's that little gap that happens right here, okay? There's a disconnect. We have the advantage of not playing gi, so, so he doesn't have my belt, so that's great. So I'm gonna go up, and then as I'm coming down, I'm shucking the hands off. Boom. I do this not to control the hands, but to get to the head, okay? Once I establish connection to the head, I will always double up and pull him down. Understand there's two different types of connection with the head. There is a anchoring connection, which is where I'm anchoring behind the neck, where if he actually is a really big guy and he's strong and he can pull me off the ground, this keeps my connection to him, okay? And then there is crown connection, where I actually keep his posture down, like he cannot bring his head up. You can see this like in Muay Thai and things like that. This actually prevents him from actually trying to bring his head up. I've seen some guys do this, but you know, they're monsters. So we get here, control the posture. Now once I control the posture, I know his hands are gonna come back. You know, the rule of jiu-jitsu, one of the big rules of jiu-jitsu old school is just not to have your hands on the mat, right? So as soon as his hands come back, this allows me to actually grab a wrist, okay? So I'm gonna bring the wrist. Now we can do the same method that we just did. I can bring my hips up again, and then as I bring them down, I'm gonna straighten my arm, like that. Once I straighten my arm, understand that I'm locking this elbow out. So don't do like this and keep an arm bent. He can just muscle me back. What I'm actually gonna do is when I punch to the belly button, I'm gonna rotate and punch this here. Now, if he tries to fight that back out of this is not happening because this is just a frame, okay? So now what we're gonna do is open the legs. We open the legs. When I open the legs, I bring them up and I chop and I get a soft lock. Very important here, how we cross the legs. What I always recommend to guys when you first start is to make sure that the leg that's under the armpit is crossed over the leg that's around the neck, okay? Demonstration to why this is, if he postures up right here and I lose the posture, my hips come up with him. There's no stress on my legs, right? They're just kind of locked in. If I switch the grip here and now the leg around the neck is over top, and he does this, much more pressure on my feet that are crossing, and this will actually pop open, okay? If it doesn't pop open, you're just using more energy than you actually have to. Okay, so now that we have the correct cross, I'm gonna go two hands to posture and break this down. Understand that posture is key when actually trying to initially escape a triangle. You must have good posture, okay? So what that means is I need to attack his posture. Both hands go to posture. There are methods of doing this stuff, but you're sacrificing more control of his head, okay? And this is putting more pressure on your knee, and this is going into more of an old school method of putting the leg on the foot on the hip and trying to turn that corner. There is nothing wrong with that method. It's just that everybody knows it. So, and it takes a few more steps, and it's a bit more open. So it's not wrong. It's just different, okay? And people are very aware of it. So what we need to do now is try a different way of doing this. And once we have the control, I'm gonna take my calf and I'm gonna eliminate the shoulder. Understand that if I try to finish the triangle here, tall people, you can get away with a lot of stuff. And this is one of the things you can actually get away with. Shorter guys with shorter legs, you need to eliminate this shoulder. And the reason why is because if I try to turn this here and I actually get the bite, there is a ton of pressure on my knee. He's not really feeling a choke yet. I'm about to do a lot of fighting here to actually finish the choke. And it's because there's this gap right here, right? And my leg is going down almost like, well, let's just say it's going almost parallel with the spine. I need it going here, okay? Like a horizontal to his neck, okay? So I don't need his leg going down. I need my leg going across, all right? So I need to eliminate this. This is the problem. So the way we're gonna do that is I'm gonna take the outside leg, once I have the posture, and I'm gonna put my calf there. So I'm gonna take my leg, and I'm gonna put my calf, I'm gonna set it right there, okay? Once I set my calf there, it's just about me turning my knees, okay? So you can't be flat here, you need to be crunched up, and I'm gonna turn my knees the same direction. And so as you can see, I didn't do this big turn and pull myself. I didn't need a connection with the legs or arms, which we'll talk about. But I have a pinch now. But now you can see, all you can really see is his tricep and his head, okay? So it doesn't matter how long your legs are in this particular case, I have a good bite, okay? And you can know, his shoulder is actually touching his neck now, right? So this is actually going to produce a very tight choke. So my feet are facing the same direction, and my knees are facing the same direction. At this point, I don't need this. I don't need to help bring my leg over. I can still keep both hands on the posture, and I can bring my hips up and lock, okay? Once I lock, I'm gonna loosen this up. Once I lock, I'm gonna turn my foot down to the ground, and that's gonna be a choke, okay? We're gonna add layers to this. I'm gonna loosen this up so James doesn't pass out here. I'm gonna loosen it up a little bit, because this actually gets very, very tight. Especially if you have short legs, it gets really tight. Especially if you ever had a triangle and you have short legs and you actually get it locked in, like you get like just a bang, you get a good bite. It's just super tight, right? So when we go back to this again, we're gonna go back here again, and I'm just gonna run through this from this part right here. When I turn my knees here, and let's say I cannot get that turn, right? I'm trying to get this turn, I can't get it. We have 3 forms of connection with our left hand. Okay, my arms are never leaving the posture, but because I need the angle, I need to sacrifice a little bit of control here. I'm gonna go either under the armpit, I can get to the far hip. You can see my hand over here on his far hip, my left hand. Or if he steps up, I can get the leg, okay? And you will most likely generally get the leg, right? A lot of guys will start to stack here, which we'll talk about. But those are my forms of connection to actually turn. It'll help me spin as I'm balled up. And it'll also help if somebody tries to stand or something, I can actually start to break them back down, okay? So those are gonna be our connection with our left hand. So if I get here, and I get this connection, I'm gonna get kind of loose here, and I get this triangle kind of locked in, I can grab this arm to turn the corner and look down his eardrum, right? And then I can start to finish the triangle. Okay, a couple layers I'm gonna add, and give him a chance to breathe here for a second. A couple layers I'm gonna add is if you are ever in a locked triangle, okay? If I have a locked triangle and I'm not finishing it, okay? So let's say I get here and I get this and I'm gonna get loose here, but let's say I'm trying everything I can't do it. What I need to do is grab his head and I'm gonna turn it, okay? And what I'm trying to do is this, I'm trying to turn his head and drive him into the side of my hamstring, or whatever that is. I don't know what that is. It's like maybe a hamstring thigh type thing. So I'm going to pull him into the thigh, okay, into the hamstring, instead of pulling his head just straight down, all right? So when I get like this, and I just don't have it, I'm going to turn his head, I'm going to pull him at this angle as I'm crunching my feet down. I'm going to go over how the actual pressure is being set with the legs. But this is how we're going to actually start to manipulate the head. The last thing I'll say from here is that notice I didn't talk about the arm. Okay, notice I didn't talk about drag the arm across, get here, put the foot on the hip, boom, boom. All that works. I'm not going to get James' arm across my body. Okay, this is the battle. Once I even get a soft lock, there's no way. I do not want to waste my time trying to get this arm across the body while he's posturing. I'm like, no. Okay. That changes things. I maybe go for an arm bar, omoplata, but that's a very different thing. I'm 100% connected to the posture, okay? So, without James, I'm just gonna show the pressure real quick. What we're trying to achieve with our leg pressure is I'm trying to make the triangle between my legs smaller, okay? So if I get here, and I have my triangle, okay? Now I'm turning my foot out to produce more pressure. This shrinks this triangle. So if I'm square, you can look at this triangle, and if I turn my foot down, my right foot down to the ground, boom. You can see how that triangle just got a little smaller, okay? The old method was to pinch our knees, and this certainly, it still works, okay? I can still pinch my knees, but you see if I pinch my knees, it doesn't do much for the triangle here, okay? Between my legs. The hole's still the same size. So what we're gonna do is, I do the leg press method. So I leg press down to the ground, and I crunch my foot. Now you can see the triangle is eliminated. Okay, so when I'm actually applying the pressure, my foot is going stomping, and my right foot is actually crunching. So this makes the triangle much smaller between the legs, and it creates a tremendous amount of pressure. And it actually rocks the person and takes them off of alignment. Okay, so this is going to be how we actually apply the pressure with our legs. Okay, but critical is posture. You must control posture to actually achieve a triangle.